Welcome to highlights of Round 3, Season 6 of the HRZN Racing League from Barcelona. I'm Chris, otherwise known as Screamlight, going to be taking you through all the action from the Spanish Grand Prix. And so far this season, it's been a huge question of, can anyone stop I'm Your Mate? Let's take a look at those stand-ins and you'll see what I mean. I'm Your Mate's taken victory in both opening rounds of Singapore and Australia by comfortable margins. Spain is the next one, as we've said, and it's Belgium, Imola, Austria, Japan, Qatar, Abu Dhabi and Vegas, along with one race to be drawn live. I'm Your Mate took a victory by nearly 14 seconds ahead of the Scottish, who took fastest lap in Australia. Six Pompano completed the podium. Sykes Snipes, Bunny's Vengeance, Bazza, Ames, Sprout, JJ, Thundercar and Vibs took top 10, while everybody else got participation points, and Vibs got driver of the day. That means in the driver stand-ins, I'm Your Mate leads from the Scottish and Six Pompano, those three taking the 1, 2, 3 positions in the first two rounds. Sykes Snipes, Bunny's Vengeance, Aim, Bazza, Elijah, Sprout, JJ's Thundercar, Andy Perpetual, DJ Dabsaurus, Matt Chan and Vibs completing the points picture. In Platinum, I'm Your Mate leads the way by 8 points ahead of the Scottish, who's 6 clear of Six Pompano. Vampire and Tommy Ash yet to get on the board. In Gold, Sykes Snipes leads by 7 points over Bunny's Vengeance, who's a point ahead of Elijah. Sprout is in 4th with Perpetual in 5th. This is the only class to have all drivers scoring points. In Silver, Aim and Bazza tied at the top on 40 points, 13 clear of Andy, who's ahead of Vibs. 3 Portas yet to drive this season, so yet to get on the board. In Bronze, Thundercart takes a lead of 4 points into this round ahead of DJ Dabsaurus. Matchan 3 behind, and Rover didn't partake in round 2, didn't finish round 1, yet to get on the board. And in D class, we've increased to 9. Scornful Griffin and DRS Sign level on points at the top, with Joker the only other driver to score. Jimmy Alex the only other driver to partake in any round in D class, but yet to score, along with the rest of the guys who've yet to race. In the Constructors, Ferrari lead by 5 ahead of McLaren, with RB in hot pursuit. Haas, Alpine, Sauber, Williams, Red Bull and Mercedes all with points. Aston yet to get on the board, the same with our reservists in HRZN Racing. So the Circuit De Barcelona-Catalunya, a circuit that we all know so very well, one that's hosted countless hours and days of testing in the real world. Let's take a look at how that circuit is laid out. Circuit De Barcelona-Catalunya is 4.657 kilometres with 14 turns. Schumacher and Hamilton are the most victorious in the real world. Bunny's Vengeance and I'm Your Mate have taken victories in HRZN, and this has been a fixture on the calendar since 1991 and now into 2026. Heading down this long start-finish straight, you can get up to absolute maximum attack. You'll have DRS as well from back at the tail end of the lap. So you head into 1 and 2. Roll the car through 1 and you can build the speed up through 2. You have to swing the car back round then into this long turn 3. This right-hander can run it right out to the edge before braking under the bridge down into Repsol. Another corner you can really keep a decent speed as you head up the hill and then back down into turn 5. One of the heavier braking zones on this lap. Little bit of extra space on the outside just to aid you to turn the car through. 6 is a slight kink to the left before 7 and 8. You can take a fair amount of curb through both of those corners as you head back up the hill to turn 9. Roll off the gas ever so slightly before gunning it again. It's a DRS zone heading down into La Caxia, down in turn number 10. And then it's a long wait to get on the power as you glide through 11 and then into 12, this long right-hander. We're now heading to turn 13, Europa car. No chicane to deal with anymore before heading to Catalunya to turn 14. Just a slight dab of brake before getting back on the throttle for the start-finish straight. So that's how the Spanish Grand Prix is laid out into 2026. Let's take a look at how our drivers line up. I'm Your Mate takes another pole position with a time good enough to be 13th in the world in time trial. Vampire takes second ahead of Six Pompano with Psych Snipes. Elijah, Bunny's Vengeance, Bazza, Syme, Aim and Perpetual finishing the top 10. On the back half of the grid sees Sprout, Thundercart, Lewis, Dabosaurus, Andy, Matt Chan and the Scottish lining up. There is another driver on the grid that you'll see in and amongst the highlights. They joined late, they're not part of the league, so they've been removed from the grid and the results. So can anyone stop I'm Your Mate in Barcelona? Let's head to the highlights. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5. A long hold, but away we go in Barcelona. I'm Your Mate gets another cracking start off the line. It looks like Machan was making moves at the back. We were about 7 wide in the mid-pack somehow. Everybody careering down into T1. One of the Hasses is off. I think that's Elijah running a little bit wide. There's a Williams there. That's Bunny's Vengeance. He's run wide as well. But look at this through the mid-pack, through turn number 3. Everybody somehow, I think, has kept it clean. There's a little bit of debris there. I think that was just a marker board. Let's have a quick look further back and take a look. We're 3 wide still. We've got a few things to look at off the start line this week. Let's start with Bazza. Gets a decent launch, and as you can see, a little bit of ghosting. Everybody suffered from it off the line, manages to squeeze between Bunny and Elijah. As he's heading down into turn number 1, gets a little late on the brakes, taps Bunny. That sends Elijah wide as well. He's through. Also has Bunny on the outside, ends up in the gravel. Let's look at that from the Northern Irishman's perspective. Maybe he gets a little bogged down immediately off the line. You can see Elijah squirming away in the corner there. But he's up ahead of both Haas drivers at this point. Gets into the corner, brakes cautiously to avoid contact, gets tapped from behind, hits the Alpine of Psych Snipes. And then as Bazza comes into the corner, gets him out into the gravel. Takes it all in good humour, loses a couple more places, but he's got the road to recovery to start now. We'll watch that from Elijah's point of view as well, just so we've got all the angles for this early incident. You can see really squirming off the line, and both Bazza and Bunny are past him. He's remaining on the outside, and he's level with his teammate, but as Bazza breaks later, he tapped Bunny. Elijah has to get out of the way, and he's off. He's then caught from behind by Simon. You saw a little bit of carbon fibre in the background. But he gets back past Bunny and he's away. We'll also look at the start from Sprout's perspective a bit further back, because he's involved in a couple of incidents through lap 1. Gets a nice run through 1, almost collecting Perpetual through turn number 2. But as he's going through 3, heading up towards Rapsol, he's up behind Syme, who comes to take his line, clips Sprout, but gets a little bit lucky. No major issue there. Going down into turn number 6, we're looking at Ryan, the randomer in the McLaren. Seems to be driving fairly cleanly and fairly nicely. So it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem for everybody. Everybody has got through the first few corners safely. Everybody's still on the road. Elijah loses a place to Bunny's Vengeance. Already the gap at the front is 1.5 seconds. Six Pompano has moved into second place. We've got a yellow flag further back. Not seeing anybody dropping immediately off the pack. Having to flick through the battles quickly as JJ's on the inside of Sprout. Sauber versus RB. He's going to get up the inside. There's a little bit of contact and Sprout's round. Once again, a couple of incidents to watch out for in that entire bit of racing. First, Bunny's Vengeance, trying to go around the outside of Elijah down towards turn 5. Gets through 6, still at the inside, but taps the back of the Haas going into the chicane. Pushes Elijah wide. He gets through and carries on about the rest of his race. We'll also look at the Sprout Thundercart collision from Sprout's POV. He's on the outside here. He's ahead at this point, but you'll see that the RB is level alongside going into the penultimate corner. They clip wheels and it spins the Sauber. Lewis moves past the McLaren. They're going to be fighting side by side still. Lewis has to back out of it as Bunny's Vengeance goes past AIM further up. We've got DRS available. So this could be where the battle is going to be for these guys, but Bunny's Vengeance holds that position. AIM running on the hard tyres. It's a very odd strategy by the Sauber there as Dabasaurus moves past Lewis up the inside, likely using DRS there, but Lewis is going to fight him back. It's right on board with the Mercedes, forced wide. That's some really great block attacking driving, but Lewis then gets on the curb, almost loses the rear, and Dabasaurus does tap the back of him. I think he might have lost a little bit of front wing. It's going to make him... Yeah, he has lost an end plate, vulnerable there to Andy with the DRS who goes past in the Alpine.
Watch out for understeer in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as quickly as you can. Push, push.
Back with Bunny's Vengeance, who seems to be in the thick of it in the early stages of this race. Following AIM in other Sauber. Gets a little wide through the chicane there, AIM. Bunny has to just back out of it slightly, swings the car at the inside, and he's through before the DRS zone. The gaps at the front already stretching out. Six Pompano only 3 seconds off the back of I'm Your Mate. The Scottish still down in last as Lewis is off the road. Didn't see what happened there, just saw that the Aston was on the side. Not a good few corners for our newest member. In fact, let's ride on board with Sprout on the medium tyre. He's going to try and go up the inside of the McLaren here. Oh, the rear tried to kick out as we look to the side to see what the gap was. Doesn't work out for him. Just large enough as we quickly move forward as Vampire moves past Psych Snipes and Bazza nearly goes into the back of the Alpine. These three battling tooth and nail for third place at the moment. They're 2.5 seconds off Six Pompano. And a good 7 seconds off I'm Your Mate as Dabasaurus moves past Lewis further back. Vampire getting a bit wide. Lewis and Dabasaurus still fighting. Oh no, Lewis is going backwards. I think he's gone round. There's something's happened there. We've got now a three-way scrap there. Both McLarens and the Mercedes of Dabasaurus. Machan trying to go around the outside. The two McLarens side by side. Let's watch this from Sprout's point of view because I think he's going to be possibly seeing some movement ahead. Lewis hasn't fallen too far off. You see Machan going up the inside of Dabasaurus into the chicane, but he's overcooked it. He then has to back off as Dabasaurus then loses another place to the other McLaren. And then he's backed out of it again. Sprout goes through. Let's move back onto the Sauber's POV. He's going to try and move up the inside. It's going to be a late dive if he makes it. But no, he holds position. The good battle really is the two McLarens, the Sauber and the Mercedes further back here. Field, like I say, already really spread out as Ryan goes right the outside of Machan. Had to get off circuit to do it, and there's a bit of contact, bit of ghosting. It's now a 5-way battle up ahead. Sprout. Oh, Sprout is right underneath the McLaren. We're getting some glitch in there. I don't think he's got any damage. Somehow, no. Real Cody's physics moment, but they're okay. It looks like the McLaren of Ryan is pulling away. He's already a second clear. Sprout now. He's going to look at the inside of Machan. Machan's holding it really nicely around the outside. Sprout will try and sweep round the outside into turn 12. There's a bit of contact there again, but this time Sprout is through. As Vampire's gone back past Psych Snipes up ahead, and Machan gets really wide out of the penultimate corner, nearly loses the rear end. But we'll watch from the helicopter viewpoint here as I think Lewis is going to have a go at Dabasaurus into turn 1. The gap between Lewis and the Scottish is now down to 11 seconds. The Scottish really reeling everybody in. We're only 7 laps into this one. There's a long, long way to go. As we saw the car underneath, as Baz has gone past Psych Snipes further up. As we cross to that battle now, Psych Snipes seems to be going backwards. There's a six-way battle as Elijah moves past Bunny's Vengeance, and Aim is on the back of this one as well. Let's look at Bazza on board here, following Psych Snipes. Seems to be getting a good run of things, Bazza here. In the slipstream of the two cars ahead, Sykes gets a little on the curbs and almost loses the rear. Bazza up the inside before the DRS. Sykes tries to go around the outside. No room there. Is Vampire holding them all up, you wonder? Oh, Bazza gets a little bit on the grass. We'll quickly go back to the Haas. He got on the grass. The back end tried to step out, but he's managed to retain the position, but he's lost a little bit of time on Vampire. He might now actually be out of DRS as Lewis has gone past. Lewis and Dabasaurus still fighting further back. Let's look at this from DJ Dabasaurus' replay, fighting Machan and Lewis early in the race. Lewis trying to go around the outside into turn 10 using the DRS, but Dabasaurus takes a really nice tight line through 10. As Machan drifts out the way the circuit goes, holds up Lewis, gives Dabasaurus the opportunity to go round the outside of Machan, who's suffering from connection issues around this time. But Dabasaurus gets round and ends up completing the move. Yes, Bazza had lost DRS. Machan, Dabasaurus, Lewis all fighting further back. We'll cross to that in a moment, but it's a 3-car entry into turn 1. Everybody somehow survives that. Psych Snipes still trying to get past Bazza. Elijah tried as well. He had to back out of it. He's got Bunny's Vengeance with him. Much like last week, those three, Bunny's Vengeance, Elijah and Aim, all on track together as Aim goes past Bunny's Vengeance in the background. Bazza's lost a position to Psych Snipes, but he's still fighting this one. Into turn 6, round the outside. Surely he's going to have to back out of it soon. Apparently not. He's still there. Psych Snipes finally gets through at the chicane, but nearly loses it going out wide. Back with Bazza this time. Ricardo's onto between Psych Snipes and Elijah into turn 1. There's a little bit of contact with Psych Snipes. He just about holds Elijah off. Gets a little bump side to side with Psych Snipes through 2, but holds the inside line through 3. Really close racing between these two as Psych Snipes goes late on the brakes to try and hold Bazza off. Doesn't really work. They get a little bit connected wheel to wheel, as happens in this game. Bazza still on the outside of Psych Snipes into 5. Runs it down the hill. Still has the Alpine on the inside. Eventually has to back out and slot in behind. Let's look at an incident that went to the stewards between Machan and Lewis. Machan suffering from connection issues at this point. He's in the pause menu. Unpauses, cuts across, almost takes Lewis out. No further action due to the connection issues. Vampire's in. Psych Snipes is in. Bunny's Vengeance is in. That releases Bazza, Elijah and Aim. It's going to be Haas on Haas into turn 1. Aim is also going to look to go through. Both of them get past Bazza. Those soft tyres must be starting to run out of grip. But we've got pit stops now happening. As I say, Vampire, Psych Snipes, Bunny's Vengeance, Perpetual's in as well. Dabasaurus heading in. We see Machan, Bunny's Vengeance getting a little wide. Psych Snipes will go past Machan. I think Mac possibly knows this isn't his fight as Bazza also heads in. JJ's in as well, but I think 6 will get it just in time for JJ to take his pit stop. The RB's coordinating well once again. Ryan is now in. Anybody else? I don't know. It looks like JJ might have been held a little bit, you know. Maybe just a touch. As the Scottish now moves up to 14th, make that 13th. He'll probably get into 12th as we watch the Scottish go past Lewis. He's back up with the field. Nearly loses the rear under braking, but gets through. Bunny's Vengeance has gone past Machan up ahead. With Bunny's Vengeance, who's in the thick of it, chasing down Machan, who seems to have sorted his connection issues. You can see there's cars coming out of the pits. Machan moves to try and pass Psych Snipes, almost takes Bunny out. Incredible reflexes, and then eventually gets round the McLaren through turn 3. Well, let's watch this little mid-pack cluster of cars as Machan under pressure from Bazza, who goes past. The Scottish is going to go round the outside. Oh, nearly contact there. I think the Scottish has to get wide to avoid it, but he's cleanly through on the next one. Psych Snipes there with Bunny's Vengeance. They're trying to beat Elijah out, who's just exiting the pits now, and they do. I think they've pulled back a little bit of time on him. Does Bazza get by his teammate? He does not. As Mac-Chan comes in, Bazza has to settle for sitting behind his teammate, but he's more up to temperature. He's going to try and go around the outside at turn 3. We've seen what happens when teammates come down towards Repsol together. Is he going to get around the outside? No, he's not. There. Elijah just holding that space. Luke Racer, thank you for following.
By 5/10 a lap.
Let's see that with Bazza. You can see Elijah just coming out of the pits. Bazza attempts to outbrake his teammate, but Elijah holds the inside line. He does have warmer tyres and better tyres on the mediums here. Tries to go around the outside. Elijah has a little wiggle mid-corner, but remains on the inside as they head into Repsol. Bazza brakes a little earlier, goes the up and under on Elijah, and he's through. I think the Scottish is about to do exactly the same in the other Ferrari. Running the gold 9 helmet there as he runs down towards the first corner, and he's passed Elijah well before the first corner. Sauber once again trying to run a long strategy here. They did back in Singapore. Netted them some decent track position. Whether it's going to here, I don't know, because it looks like Sprout now under pressure from Bunny's Vengeance, and he'll have Psych Snipes on him soon as well. Bunny's Vengeance clean through in turn 1. Those medium tyres at lap 14 surely starting to wither away, as Psych Snipes has got so much more traction here through 3 and 4. Heading down into Repsol, he'll go up the inside. Sprout's going to fight it, but he's not going to have the grip to fight it hard. Through goes Psych Snipes, and Bazza's going to be on the back of Sprout soon as well, as Bazza closes up to Sprout. Elijah's staying with the Scottish here. Maybe the Scottish's strategy isn't going to work quite in his favour, as Bazza, look how much more traction he's got. He's nearly into the back of Sprout. Surely it's time for the Sabre to come in, and yes, he does. He pulls in. It's been a long first stint. 15 laps or 14 laps on the medium tyres is always going to be a bit of a struggle, but does eventually have to pull it in. The Scottish having to defend here. He's not really having it all his own way as Elijah goes up the inside, and he's through. The Scottish either has made a bit of a strategy miscalculation as he tries to fight it back through 3. Just getting forced out by Elijah. That's some great defensive driving. Bunny's Vengeance is chasing Andy down towards Le Cax here at turn 10. Andy trying to put a defensive posture on, but his tyres are looking shot. He'll get done there by Bunny's Vengeance fairly easily. I'm your mate with a 14.591, the fastest lap of this race so far. Aim has stayed out. Stays on the inside, but the DRS too easy. It looks like Andy has just let Psych through. Good play there by the Alpine teammates. Andy staying out. Goes very wide. We are 16 laps in and we've yet to get a track limits penalty. Bazza now on the back of Andy. Should be another fairly straightforward pass for the Welshman. Just with the tyre offset here. Psych Snipes staying with Bunny's Vengeance. That battle could rage all the way through this race. Fairly evenly matched pace-wise. We should see Bazza get past Andy here. He's trying to defend with worn medium tyres. Andy stays defensive, forces Bazza around the outside, but the Haas is clean through on traction. Still no time penalties. Regular, I suppose, kind of makes it a little bit easier. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and I think it was Mac-Chan that's gone round. Mac-Chan falls to the back.
1.5 seconds on it. It's because we've got no
see here what happened to Mac-Chan. He's just heading through the chicane in the middle. You can see he's just a little bit choppy on the steering wheel here. But he comes up to turn 9, keeps the power down, doesn't lift enough, loses the rear, taps the wall, knocks a bit of front wing, and then has to just get himself pointing in the right direction. Unlucky for Mac-Chan. Aim finally bailing out of those hard tyres will fall a little bit down the field as 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's the first penalty and it's a retirement. Aim has decided to pull it into the box and retire. First retirement of this race. I would say that leaves the podium wide open, but Vampire fairly comfortable out there at the moment as Bazza and Psych Snipes fighting down into turn 1. Issa Dodge, I think, was one of the other random joiners, and they've now left the session. Syme in the pits. Bazza backs off, maybe because the yellow flag was out through sector 3. Back with Bazza, who's once again in the thick of it. And we can see what happened in terms of having to back off. The yellow flag is out, and he does overtake Psych Snipes immediately, being told that there's an illegal overtake there. Tries to back off into 1 to let the Alpine through, but eventually just goes right to the inside through 2, allows the Alpine past, and gets back on the throttle. Yellow flag has gone, so Bazza can try and make a move into turn 1. Elijah's going to try and follow through here, and does so. Both Hasses getting past Psych Snipes. They're looking strong. They've got an opportunity here to hunt down Bunny's vengeance. Lewis has got Syme for company. These two obviously fighting for D-class points at the moment, and Syme is going to take the lead in that particular battle. Moves into 13th place, Syme. Lewis holding on to the back of him. Bazza has actually caught up to Bunny's vengeance in the pit stops. That's really helped him out. They're behind Perpetual, so they'll all get a little dose of DRS, and you assume Perpetual's going to have to head in. Are we going to see Elijah coming in at the end of this lap as Bunny's vengeance gets past Perpetual on the road? Yep, Elijah is in. These guys may actually have the other Haas come out right in the middle of the battle, because at the moment Perpetual is making life difficult for Bazza, but he's coming in. JJ is in as well. Where's Elijah in all this? He's just heading out the box. The Scottish has gone past him. Bunny's vengeance will go by. Bazza and Psych Snipes will just about get by. Elijah will come out behind them. But Psych Snipes and Bazza side by side through the first couple of corners. Bazza holds the position wonderfully. It's cost him time to Bunny's vengeance though. But Psych Snipes looking much closer to Bazza here. Let's ride on board with the Alpine. He goes up the inside. He's got the move done into the braking zone. We'll look on the rear because Bazza comes back at him. There's a little bump. We'll continue to look from behind. And then we'll move to Bazza's POV. Is he going to make a move into Repsol? No, he's not. The Alpine will get away from him a little bit now. Let's actually run through the classes on the road. So, Platinum class currently running first for I'm Your Mate, second for Six Pompano, third for Vampire, and fourth for Scottish. So, Vampire will at the moment be getting points on the board as we watch Andy closing up. Sproat goes defensive. Andy has to swing back to the outside, but he's made the move. Wonderfully done by the Alpine. And now, JJ on the back of this battle as Dabosaurus and Lewis fight hard further down. As the Scottish move past DRS Syme. The Scottish now on the road to recovery. He's on the soft tyres for the last few laps and he's already up into this battle. Who's going to hold on to the last point here? Because Sproat and JJ are fighting hard and now the Scottish is there with them. The Scottish tries to go up the inside. JJ, he's off wide. He's out on the gravel. Loses a spot to the Scottish and then it's going to be DRS Syme as well. But they've both got DRS. Syme actually backs out of the DRS early and stays behind. As we've got Andy moving slowly and Sproat hits the back of him. I don't know what happened to Andy, but he was off the road. Possibly an unsafe rejoin. That's kind of kicked everything off here. And I see the catalyst of all that carnage in the lower end of the top 10. Andy heading down into turn 1. Looking all fairly steady, but gets a little bit too much on the curb. Rear end goes, and then Sproat goes into the back of the recovering Alpine, and then it's just carnage from there. We'll watch it as well from on board with Sproat. You can see Andy far enough in front of him at this point, but he has quite worn tyres at this stage as well, which may not aid with braking into turn 1. You'll watch the Alpine get a little bit sideways through 1, and then Sproat tries to find a gap, turns back into turn 2, gets hit by the Scottish as he hits Andy. With a bit of missing front wing, he goes wide, which allows the Scottish through. And then as we get towards the next corner, Syme also looking along with Thundercar. Sproat now missing part of the front wing. Scottish goes past and he's back up into the top 10. Syme's past JJ and he's going to go past Sprout as well. Or is he? Yes, he is, but only just. It's getting a bit of a squeeze. Sprout gets wide. JJ goes past him and Sprout down to 12. All of that kicked off because Andy had got back on the road, maybe in a slightly dangerous manner, but we didn't see what happened to Andy. We were just going to flick back through and see what was going on between Syke and Bazza, but the battle raging for the lower points here as Andy's off the road again. Whether has he got damage? What's gone on with Andy, or is he just backing off to let people back through? Here's Andy getting passed by the Scottish. Lap 30, not a particularly fun one for the Alpine driver. The Scottish has already gone through, but he will get DRS from the McLaren man. Heads down towards turn 10, but he just outbrakes himself a little bit, runs straight off the road, has to really pull the anchors to get round the corner, loses positions to both Syme and Thundercart. We'll find out later, I'm sure, as Bazza goes past Syke Snipes once again up at the front. Sprout does have a bit of wing damage. He's lost a little bit of his front wing and he's in to replace that. As Andy's got right back on the power. As we go to Sprout by accident there is... Oh, Andy's clipped Syme now as well. It's all kicking off in the lower order. Andy will go past Syme down into Repsol. And even after all of the incidents that Andy's had in the last couple of laps, he's managed to catch back up to Syme and Thundercart. They're both trying to break the toe here, but Thundercart goes up the inside. Andy spies a gap, doesn't quite make it, but then loses the rear end, cuts across Syme, damages his front wing. And you'll see Syme run wide as he can't get the car turned in. Andy will retake the position. But let's head up to our leader as he runs through the final sector into Lucaxia, going up towards 12. Another imperious drive by I'm Your Mate as Bazza and Syke Snipes continue to fight through the final few laps. But I'm Your Mate will round the final corner, Catalunya, and he'll head towards the line. He takes the victory by 21 seconds. As we'll watch Bazza and Syke Snipes for a moment. Perpetual crosses the line. He's a lap down. Sprout, Dabasaurus, Lewis and Mac-Chan are also done for the day. But we'll watch as Six Pompano rounds Catalunya. He gets second place. It is not too rare now. Six Pompano takes second. It's going to be another 20-odd seconds before Vampire crosses the line. Sprout, Dabasaurus, Lewis and Mac-Chan all also will be crossing the line to take the checkered flag. But here comes Vampire, takes his first podium of the season. Cool, calm and assured driving from Vampire to take P3. As Bunny's Vengeance crosses the line, he'll spin it across the line as he always does. Fifth place will go to Bazza. Syke Snipes will just fall in behind in sixth. Then it's Elijah for P7. The Scottish running wide out the final corner will take P9. JJ coming through the final couple will take... No, Scottish for P8, sorry. Thundercart. JJ will take position number 9. And Andy will take P10 with Syme. And that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Well, that was the Spanish Grand Prix, and for a third race in a row. I'm Your Mate takes victory by 22 seconds along with the fastest lap. Six Pompano takes second ahead of Vampire. Bunny's Vengeance gets fourth and driver of the day. Bazza, Syke Snipes, Elijah, Scottish, Thundercart, Andy complete the top 10. Everybody else with participation points. That means that I'm Your Mate leads the way by 20 points over Six Pompano. The Scottish slips to third after a bad day at the office. Bunny moves to fourth, with Syke Snipes and Bazza also moving up along with Elijah. Aim down to 8th, Vampire up to 9th, and it's Sprout, Thundercart and Andy just behind. And a new driver has joined, so Hydrojax gets 29th spot. In Platinum, I'm Your Mate, clear ahead of Six Pompano, who's level on points with the Scottish. Vampire gets points on the board. Tommy yet to return after missing the last 2 rounds, still on 0. Sykes Snipes leads Bunny's Vengeance by 3 points in gold, with Elijah just in behind. He's 10 clear of Sprout, who's just 3 ahead of Perpetual. In silver, Bazza moves clear on his own at the front ahead of Andy, who's 5 points clear of Aim, who slips to 3rd. Vibs and 3 Portas didn't partake in Spain, so remain where they are. Thundercart takes the lead in bronze ahead of DJ Dapsaurus. Mac Chan remains 3rd. Rover didn't partake in Spain, so doesn't add to that 0. And now at 10 car field in D Class C. Syme at the top, 22 clear of Scornful Griffin. Lewis gets points on the board on his debut, joins Joker up there in the 3rd and 4th places. Jimmy, the only other driver to have driven so far. And in the Constructors, Ferrari lead the way, but RB move up to 2nd, with Haas moving to 3rd. McLaren slip to 4th, with Alpine, Williams, Sauber and Mercedes moving up. Red Bull slip to 9th, while Aston Martin and Horizon Racing still remain on 0. But that was round 3. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. Belgium next. Can anyone beat I'm Your Mate?